By the dough. Okay.
All right, welcome. You're about to watch game number 14 here at the North America South Regional Tournament brought to you by WFTDA and the Texas Roller Girls. I am Sonia Blade, and I'm joined by
Nikki Tricky Savvy. Hello, and thank you guys for joining.
We're about to watch Tampa Tantrums taking on the Columbia QuadSquad.
Yes, we are. We are going to see Tampa taking the track here in the black uniforms here. And we're going to see Columbia QuadSquad wearing the white here. So who do we have skating for Tampa there, Blade?
On Tampa, we have number 114, Alpha Vixen, 120, Evil Apple, 13, Wazikeel, number 18, Slamwich, 2, PH Diesel, 33, Sriracha Cha, 401, Induce in Pain, 417, Amtastic, 446, Red Stiletto, 50, Rojo Grande, 51, Scrap, 626, Phoenix, number 8, Iva Grudge, 83, Break Some Bones, 888, Peaches and Screams, number 9, Hot Wheels, rounded out by number 999, Honey Badger. Who's skating in white today?
Skating in white for Columbia Roller Derby is going to be 013, Savage Patch Kids, 03, Crew, 04, Painful Lee, 214, Valentina Massacre, 23, Gabeast, 5, Bing Bong, 56, Tilly Tequila, 59, Michigana, number 618 is Mustache, 63, Moody, 667, Billy Goat, 907, Saved by the Dell, and 93, Robin Banks. And in case you're wondering why I yelled that, it's because it's spelled Billy, G-O-A-T in all caps. All right, we do not currently have the time to game. I saw somebody in the chat who is asking for it. Unfortunately, we do not have that at the moment. We're just going to need a second to get our scoreboard up and running here. In the meantime, though, we have some officials that we'd like to thank. Our NSOs who might be a little bit harder to see on camera. Chemical Restraint, Silken Tofu, Lemon Stinger, Montana Mauler, Joss, No Ship Sherlock, Galvatron, Mother Flippin' Artist, Kate Tastrophe, Mama Vader, and The Doctor.
And our skating officials for this game, Zero Factorial, Oh Yo She Didn't, Rough Draft, Jamini Cricket, STO Nasty, Weblinks, Ice Queen, and Ella Noise.
Our producer, Lakita Benita, just handed me a sticky note that says that the predictor for this game has Tampa coming out ahead with 168 points and Columbia at 131. Obviously, the game hasn't started yet, so we have no idea what's going to happen or how things are going, but that is what the predictor tool is telling us to expect.
I feel that the trend this weekend has been the predictor tool has been proven wrong almost every time. There was one game yesterday where the score differential was about as close as it gets. It was one of the games in the morning, I can't remember, but it was the most accurate of the predictions.
Huh. Yeah, it's been a lot of predictor breaking here, but there have not been a whole lot of bracket busters, though. We did have the upset yesterday with Atlanta, wasn't it, taking on Texas Roller Girls and beating them with a score of 163 to 103, meaning that Atlanta will be going to champs and taking on Jacksonville later on today.
Yeah, and only 2 slots allotted for champs in this regional tournament, so that means it will be New Jacks and Atlanta, and our game today will be to see who places first and second, and it'll probably help for seeding in the tournament in November.
Definitely will, which is why I'm sure everyone's going to be looking at it pretty closely here. But as of right now, we do have what sounded like that jam whistle, and off we go with Alpha Vixen with the star first for Tampa. Bing Bong with the star for the Columbia QuadSquad.
Just to warn you guys, I don't think we could say bing bong like normally, like bing bong.
Yeah, but those people are boring.
Alpha Vixen getting worked over by one of the captains from Columbia there, but quick back up on their feet.
That's Billy Goat showing why she is the goat indeed here. We do see Bing Bong out with lead here, but about a third track behind Alpha Vixen putting on that chase here. Bing Bong, though, has made it back to the pack.
Yep, Columbia moving in to give some offensive assistance, and we'll call it off just in the nick of time to put all 4 on the board.
Tampa held scoreless in this first jam of the game here, though, as we all know, everything could happen, basically. Nothing is outside the realm of reason. Getting some love in the chat here for both Tampa and for Columbia, and specifically some shout-outs for Red Stiletto and Peaches and Screams.
Sorry, we won't be able to relay them so that they can hear us, but we can deliver those messages afterwards, or they can hear them in the when they reap rewatch the footage.
Also true.
We've got Slamwich now donning the star for Tampa up against Moody for the Quad Squad, and it will be Slamwich out first with lead advantage.
Slamwich found the inside line to get around the Columbia Quad Squad to pick up lead jammer status in favor of Tampa. Now, Moody is trying to find her way through here, but getting held up by those blockers. But I do hear some happy applause as we see Slamwich returning through and picking up 4 points in favor of Tampa.
Yeah, Moody now with the star in hand, but Tampa won't be fooled so easily. Oh, Moody challenging those arm links. Tampa wasn't quite quick enough to close the gap. Escapes with the star, and Slamwich will call that one to a conclusion, doubling Columbia's score.
8 points for Tampa so far, and 4 for Columbia here as we head into Jam 3 only. It seems like this game's going a little faster than it already is, but we are only in the third game.
I feel like that's the trend this whole weekend. It feels like it's just been one big blur of bodies rolling around the track or falling. Or
It's true. A lot of very physical derby, a lot of very smash crash, but thankfully not a lot of crazy injuries, and hopefully that trend continues as we see Sriracha with the star and Painful Lee for Tampa and Columbia respectively. We do have the pivot for Tampa reporting to our S1 penalty box here. I believe one of the first penalties of the game. Meanwhile, Sriracha trying to spread out Columbia at the front of the pack all the way into turn 2. But Tampa holding strong on Painful Lee at the back, which allows Sriracha to get lead for Tampa.
Some excellent track awareness there by Columbia, bridging their blockers to their maximum point. It looks like that star stash will get the star free for Columbia, but not before. 4 more points on the board for Tampa.
Tammy Brown says that she is watching her daughter from Thailand, and her daughter is Iva Grudge, who's number 8 on the Tampa Tantrums. So hi to Iva Grudge from your mom. I can't find you right now, but I'm sure you're here.
We've only got the pivot from Tampa sitting in our S1 penalty box. About to head into jam number 4. We're going to see Honey Badger versus Bing Bong.
Bing Bong there looking for the inside line, but not quite able to find it open. Meanwhile, Honey Badger trying to run up the inside line and smashing straight into all 4 of the blockers from Columbia Quad Squad, who are rotating and cycloning up at the front of this pack to try to hang on to Honey Badger, which I know cannot be an easy feat.
Bing Bong taking a hit to that outfield bridge a long way back behind that jammer line to start all over again. Looks like Honey Badger almost had to follow suit, but got in a little bit earlier. Some bodies tumbling, and a penalty has been assessed. Looks like that will be Evil Apple from Tampa.
Second penalty in 2 jams for Evil Apple.
Bing Bong now at the top of the pack, 2 left to beat, but they're not going to make it easy. A full 45 seconds to establish a lead jammer.
Bing Bong is lead for Columbia Quad Squad as Honey Badger still trying to fight her way through between turns 1 and 2 here. Meanwhile, Bing Bong back in with speed, taking a nudge to the inside line is going to force them to recycle back behind that jam line. Meanwhile, we do see Honey Badger with a couple to beat at the front, but still not able to get around. Now the rest of the Columbia Quad Squad coming up to join, which allows Bing Bong to escape for 4 points in favor of the CQS. Meanwhile, we do see the pivot for Tampa being released from the box, so that S1 penalty box is now clear.
Yes, and we'll see if Honey Badger takes advantage of the situation. No, gets out all on their own as Evil Apple returns. Jam comes to its conclusion, and holding Tampa scoreless, that'll give us a tie game.
12 all here as we just passed the 5-minute mark so far in this period. Going pretty fast, very tall. These are the number 5 and the number 6 seed here in this tournament. Tampa, the number 5, and Columbia, the number 6. So this very tight game is kind of what I expected so far here. I'm hoping that penalties don't trip anybody up and that S1 penalty box stays pretty clear.
We can only hope. We've got Phoenix back on the track for Tampa up against Moody. Moody almost free on that inside line, but Tampa was there to shut it down. Meanwhile, Phoenix pushing up that outside. Fearsome jamming there. Picks up lead status and will have a power jam thanks to a cut track by Moody, probably drawn by one of the Tampa Tantrums. So power jam scenario with Phoenix in full control.
Phoenix now escaping after getting an incredible sweep from that outside line of the Tampa Tantrums. making sure there was lots of room as they decided to come in looking for some more points. Now Phoenix is back in the pack making contacts with the Columbia Quad Squad and trying to force their way through, but Columbia not ready to give up any space to them. The bench saying to call it, Phoenix finally hearing them and deciding to do so, which will ice our Columbia Jammer in the box. So we will have a power start in favor of Tampa as we head into Jam 6.
That was some excellent work by Columbia there, limiting the scoring passes during that penalty, only allowing Tampa to get 8 points, so nothing insurmountable. Looks like that'll be Alpha Vixen donning the star for this brief power start as Moody is standing for the remaining seconds of their penalty.
Jam is on, and Moody approaching the pack with Tampa choosing to set up at the back and try to provide some offense, but Moody has been released in the penalty box, and the Tantrums are going to have to drop back and try to hang on. Knocking Moody to the outside right there in turn 1, but between turn 1 and 2, the Columbia Quad Squad has managed to force out Alpha Vixen and recycle them all the way back down to that Jammer line, but Alpha Vixen is back in and trying to find her way through on the initial, as is Moody, and it's Moody coming out on top with lead Jammer for Columbia.
Moody somehow, some way, sticking the landing and managing to keep those skates in bounds despite Tampa's best efforts. Now, Alpha Vixen removing the star, trying to plot out their next move, pivot from Tampa, giving some assistance, and says, hey, I'm here if you need me. Oh.
Cut track penalty being called. Oh.
All right. Alpha Vixen was up under their own power. Always what we like to see. And another, as if we haven't thanked them enough, another very huge thank you to our medics this weekend, taking care of all of our skaters and all of our volunteers, really, because Derby isn't possible without a few friends.
It's true. So again, thank you so much to our medics for ensuring that all of our people are good, everyone is safe, because at the end of the game, it is roller derby, but we do want everyone to be as safe as possible. Just need a few seconds here before we get everything underway again, making sure that everyone is where they need to be, that all of our medics are able to pay attention to the track, and that all of our skaters are ready for us to get going.
It does look like the Jammer from Tampa acquired a penalty in that last time that may be courtesy of Alpha Vixen, but it is Slamwich serving the 30 seconds at the moment.
Alpha Vixen is taking a seat in our medical box just to be tip-top sure that they are in tip-top shape before they are released to return to the track here. But yes, we are going to see Slamwich sitting in that box for Tampa, and bing bong on the line here for the Columbia Quad Squad with the star on her head, trying to shove Tampa out of her way in an attempt to pick up lead, but Tampa's kind of saying no.
A fury of pink skirts flying around. That is Evil Apple and number 9 Hot Wheels at the top of the pack, being beautiful solo blocking by Evil Apple there, the last line of defense. Lead was established, but bing bong.
Oh, mouth guard came out.
Oh my. I thought that would be an equipment violation, but perhaps not. Perhaps that was quick enough to
I guess
correct
so.
itself. Anyway,
I empathize
gross.
with picking that up and putting it right back in your mouth. But I guess when you've just been assessed lead against Tampa and you're 7 points behind, you don't have time to waste here as Bing Bong is racing back into the pack. You're trying to pick up some points, but Slamwich really putting on the gas here. Going to force that call off here by Columbia, and they're only able to pick up 2 points, but it is still only a 5-point game now with 15 points for Columbia, 20 for Tampa, and 9 minutes past of this half, which means we've got 21 left to play.
Yeah, definitely with the dustiness of this floor. If my mouth guard fell, I would not want to put it right back in my mouth. There might have been a couple crunchies.
I had to do that at ECDX once, and I will say that the announcers behind me all screamed in horror. I don't blame them at all. We have an official review. I'll be right back.
Yes, this official review called by the Tampa Tantrums. And let's give some love to our sponsors, pay the bills, as we say. Sponsoring our Proudly boxes, S1 Helmets, the proud helmet sponsor of the Texas Roller Girls and travel teams. Find out more about the S1 Lifer helmet at www.s1helmets.com. And also a huge thank you to 187 Killer Pads. Often imitated, never duplicated. Stick with the best. It's a very intense game so far. Bring you the details of our official review from Tampa as soon as we have them. Yes, we'll give some more shout outs. How about to Frogmouth? Frogmouth is a skater, woman, and worker owned small business in Austin, Texas that specializes in handcrafting uniforms, custom uniforms, and practice wear for roller derby skaters. And if you've been watching this weekend, you have seen the amount of jersey whips taken off of these Frogmouth jerseys, and they are still in ship shape, still intact. So really a testament to the durability. Looks like our skaters on the track have left turn clothing jerseys on. And I want to say Pivot Star for Columbia, but not quite sure. And we do see that Alpha Vixen has returned to their bench after a visit to the medical box. So always something we like to see, but we'll see if they decide to return to jamming or not. We'll also give a thank you to Create and Skate Factory. Jukebox is a fellow derby skater playing in Barcelona, but you may remember her from her time skating with London Roller Derby. Every sale supports a fellow skater, so you can get a gift for the skater in your life. Get skate-themed art, stickers, and gifts. So here comes Nikki Tricky Savvy to give us the details of that official review.
Okay, so it looked like Tampa was looking to have an illegal procedure issued to White 5 Bing Bong as the jammer for not immediately stopping to put the mouthguard back in. That is considered a safety violation. An illegal procedure penalty has been issued to Bing Bong, who is now sitting in our S1 penalty box. So Tampa will start in a power start.
Our leads have been fairly even so far. Columbia with 4, Tampa with 3 as we head into jam number 8. Sriracha donning the star for Tampa, looking to even out those lead jam statuses, if I can only imagine. Sriracha trying to dance on that outside line, but absorbing the hits from Columbia QuadSquad and quick to get back into play. Now Columbia absolutely locking down. That's Moody, the pivot, providing the brace for those 2 blockers.
Really effective penalty kill, however, because we see Bing Bong now being released to the pack from that S1 penalty box to make contact with the Tantrums in the back and absolutely making contact and shoving number 146, 416, I can't read. Amtastic, absolutely out of bounds here, but now we do see both jammers still trying to fight their through the initial. Both blocks.
Lead is still available to.
Yep. We're just going to say it's been a full 50 seconds, and now lead has not yet been established, and now we are about to hit a full minute without lead established, and all I see is 2 massive squares of bodies hanging out outside of turn 2, right in that straightaway, recycling Bing Bong back a little bit is a break some bones. I hope she doesn't do that. And we also see a recycle here on Sriracha, who is taking a bit of a smash to the knees for a second. Another drawback happening on Bing Bong. Good
It
God.
just seems like something on replay. You just keep seeing the same thing over and over. And after a full minute and a half, Bing Bong out with lead advantage, but only 20-some seconds to score some points. But if that first pass was anything, these 4 points are not going to be easy.
No, and that's the third lead jammer status in a row here for Columbia, but that's definitely the hardest fought one. Ooh, Bing Bong finding some room on the outside to come around, pick up 4 points in favor of Columbia. 1 point game now here. Columbia sitting at 19 with Tampa at 20, and Sriracha has handed off the pass, the star to Red Stiletto. Star pass completed, and unfortunately, Apex jump incomplete by Bing Bong as the jam comes to an end.
Oh, we have ourselves a 1 point game. No,
And
still a 1 point game.
Change. 2 things in one go.
So, take a sip of your drink, hydrate. It's always good to stay hydrated, especially with how loud some of these fans have been yelling.
Mark Canglia says that brushing their mouth guard makes the toothpaste taste too strong. Get flavored toothpaste, like something that's going to sound childish, but get kids' toothpaste. The flavor doesn't last as long and should not bother you. But meantime, we have Painfully with the star on their head for Columbia, and Honey Badger with the star on her head for Tampa.
I believe this is the first time Painfully will be starting off with the star. They had some fairly high point scoring jams in their games this weekend, so no surprise that they are trying that tactic again. In the moves
this is actually Painfully's second time with the star here, but we're seeing that both defensive formations are deciding to put on masterclasses here now, because a full 35 seconds has passed and we do not have lead. But just as I say that, of course, Painfully giving them that slip to pick up lead jammer status in favor of Columbia. And shortly after, only about a third of the track behind, we see Honey Badger has also completed the initial pass as we say goodbye to one of Tampa's blockers temporarily as they head into the S1 penalty box, and Painfully and Honey Badger head into the pack for points.
Painfully coming into that square into Evil Apple, that last line of defense proving to be a menace on this track to these jammers. Honey Badger taking a bump to that outfield bridge the long way back. That looks like Mustache, and can't tell who else the number is, but credit to them as well.
They're a little too low for me to be able to see.
I know. I mean, we like when you get low, but
We
we
do.
also want to give you credit for doing awesome things.
It's true.
Painfully getting recycled once again. That's Evil. Sorry, no,
Getting
Hot
around
Wheels.
Hot Wheels there, who does try to get up ahead, but Painfully able to give them a slip once again for another scoring pass for Columbia. 8 points picked up so far. Columbia now looking for a third scoring pass, but Rojo Grande now in possession of the star from Tampa. One more to beat at the front, finally getting around Savage Patch Kid, and we see Painfully call the jam after making contact with the pack.
So taking it off a little bit with these points, but hey, we've got a palindrome. I know
We
that
do.
Chip has been waiting to see one of these.
But we have a palindrome. 23 to 32. There we go. If you heard him, Chip just got very excited, raised his hands in the air and went, yes, because we have a palindrome score.
Chip has predicted there might be 2 palindrome scores for Sunday, so at least one of those has now been punched, so we'll see if we get 2 of them.
Is that for a final score or just a score at any point?
At any point, I
Okay,
believe.
just making sure.
Because I
Hang
don't
on.
know.
Chip. Are your palindrome rules that it has to? Are the palindrome rules that it has to be twice in the same? That it has to be the final
There's
game?
no rules. I just think we had 4 of them yesterday. I just think there's going to be at least 2.
Cool.
It's a fun thing.
So we have one for now.
One for now.
All right, so there are no rules. We can decide.
We make the rules.
We make the rules about the palindromes. And that last jam that we saw, 11 points in favor of Columbia, is the highest scoring jam so far of the game. 14 minutes so far have passed. And we've got a full 16 minutes or so to go. And it looks like we're going to be getting back to the action here with a clear S1 penalty box. And Phoenix with the star for Tampa. Moody with a star for Columbia.
Moody splitting the difference of these blockers right up the middle, wasting no time getting lead, but hot on their trail is Phoenix. We've got ourselves a fast-moving pack to go along with it.
Phoenix flapping those fiery wings, trying to catch up to Moody, but Moody trying to put on the gas and not allow it. Moody deciding to call it off, deciding that the risk was far greater than the potential reward here, seeing how fast Phoenix was blazing a path up. I get that.
No, I totally get it. And like the way this game has been going so far, every point counts. I mean, a point counts for every game, but it has been a little bit more of a fight to get those points so far. So
Yeah. For any of us who are any of you who are joining us, we are here. This is the 5th and 6th seed of this tournament, so we are expecting a very intense game as we have seen so far. Bing bong with the star for Columbia, and Alpha Vixen back on the track for Tampa. Penalty whistle being blown. Couldn't see what it was for, but it's going to be Alpha Vixen picking up lead jammer status here as we see a Columbia blocker taking a seat in that S1 penalty box. Meanwhile, Bing Bong being ping-ponged around after handing over the star to the pivot, who is being recycled all the way back. Poor Miss Shugana.
So that blocker from Columbia getting called on the multiplayer block, that allowed Alpha Vixen to earn lead advantage and is now threatening to score some more points after their first scoring pass, closing up that point gap. Miss Shugana still has yet to make their way through the pack successfully.
Tampa doing a really good job of closing those lines where Miss Shugana is attempting to find her way out. Meanwhile, Alpha Vixen has completed two passes here and has managed to pick up lead for the first time in the last 6 jams for Tampa. Columbia had a really good streak here now. Ooh, and another lead change on that third scoring pass. Alpha Vixen brought the score up to 35 in favor of Tampa, 32 at Columbia here. Alpha Vixen now back in and trying to score while Miss Shugana is trying to push Tampa into turn 2 so she can try to escape on that initial pass. But looks like we had the jam called off.
Hey, 12 points is nothing to sneeze at. That'll bring us to 35 to 32 in favor of Tampa, but we're only heading into jam number 12 of the first half.
Just under 14 minutes left in said first half. And we would like to thank one of our sponsors, 187 Killer Pads. They are often imitated. They are never duplicated, so you should definitely stick with the best. And as you can see here, there's a lot of logos, but you will see a lot of 187s on the knees of our beautiful, beautiful skaters here, just like Slamwich and Painfully, who are both jamming for Tampa and Columbia, respectively. Oh no, we're going to have a power jam here as we see Painfully sitting in the box. That must have been a little painful.
Painfully reporting to our S1 penalty box.
But Slamwich coming in to give everyone the slam, which I was always expecting.
Absolutely. Just ducking around these blockers, making it a very easy 4 points to pick up. I think Columbia is ready and waiting for this return. See the pivot there from Columbia. That is Crew, the last line of defense there on Slamwich, but 4 more on the board.
Painfully has now been released from that S1 penalty box and is charging back onto the track with the star in hand. Meanwhile, Slamwich finding their way straight through the outside line here to pick up 4 more points in favor of Tampa. 12 so far in this jam. Painfully on that initial pass, looking for a way through or for the pivot, but pivot looks a little bit busy up at the front, hanging on to Slamwich, who has come back in with speed.
Yeah, Painfully hoping that the star stash might confuse the blockers enough, but there is number 83, Break Some Bones, joined by their Tampa teammate. That last line of defense along this straightaway. Tampa doing an amazing job of keeping them in play. Break Some Bones just not relenting. Now Painfully successfully free of the pack. Slamwich secures all 4 points, bringing them up to an even 12, and calls that to a conclusion. 16.
16-point jam. This is now the highest scoring jam of the game, and Tampa maintaining their lead with 51 points. Columbia hanging on at 32. Here's some Tampa fans in the audience. Clap, clap, clap-a-bing. Also, I'd like to apologize to anyone on the stream who's listening and going, why is she having trouble with her words today? The answer is because I don't know.
It's because we've been saying a lot of words and a lot of really cool things have been happening really quickly, and sometimes it's hard to say those things.
Exactly, just like Moody getting lead jammer status in 6 seconds, getting around Tampa's, I don't know, completely defensible wall.
Just challenging those arm lengths, busting right up the middle, getting lead for Columbia, the first in a couple of jams, I believe.
I believe so.
Sriracha is at the top of the pack, but Columbia absolutely locking down, and there is Rojo Grande trying to split these blockers apart.
Columbia says absolutely not here, as Cha is not able to cha-cha her way through this pack as easily as she has in the past here. Moody has been assessed lead for Columbia, but Tampa's blockers at the back, just 3 of them, hanging on for dear life and sending Moody down to the ground in a yoga move that nobody was really expecting to have to do this early in the afternoon on Champs Day.
Columbia absolutely locking down on Cha with their 3-wall formation. They just have that extra blocker out there for fun, but they are going to opt to help Moody, but Tampa putting up a strong formation. Not going to make it easy, but
Crew in there for Columbia trying to spring Moody, finally able to do so, but it took a considerable amount of time with the 2 of them trying to work against Tampa. Tampa doing a great job of holding on to both of them now. They are trying to get Cha through, who is not lead and has taken the star off in an attempt to look for the pivot here, but pivot little bit busy here as Moody has come in looking to score a few more points.
looks like our star has been passed. New jammer of record for Tampa will be Rojo Grande, but if I were to hazard a guess, I don't think Moody will allow any points.
Probably not, but we'll see here. Moody coming in and topping the hips really quickly. However, it does look like Columbia was able to pick up an extra couple in that go here. Tampa looking at no points in that jam, while Columbia picking up a total of 10 to bring their score up to 42. We have a 9-point game. Tampa hanging onto the lead with 51 points here as we have under 10 minutes in this first half.
I don't know about you guys, but this has gone by super fast. Our S1 penalty box currently sitting empty, so we will have full 5-on-5 derby for jam number 14.
By the way, before, because people were talking about cleaning methods for mouth guards, Sisu says do not use denture tablets or alcohol. It can weaken the integrity of your mouth guard, I'm guessing, but toothpaste and brushing or peroxide are okay. Sorry.
Anyone just tuning in, why are you giving us dental advice right now?
Because I'm really concerned about the integrity of everybody's safety here. I freak out when I see hits and injuries here, just like I do see someone in the penalty box for Tampa, but thankfully it's not because they are hurt, just because they did something a little bit naughty.
We've got Bing Bong jamming for Columbia, Phoenix for Tampa. Lead is still yet to be established as both teams put up solid 3 formation.
Ooh.
Bing Bong sees the light of day on that inside line. Lead going to Columbia.
Phoenix also thought they found the light of day, but Columbia found their way in front of them here as we see Bing Bong racing around to try to pick up some points as Tampa sending another one of their blockers to that S1 penalty box. Bing Bong sending the rest of Tampa to the front of the pack as they attempt to hold on to her, and she decides to call off the jam just as we saw the escape of Columbia's jammer here, but unfortunately Phoenix not able to get anything on that jam, and we are going to see an official review.
Yes, an official review will be brought to you by... I will check which team. Sounds like the Columbia Quad Squad bringing us this official review. We will bring you those details as soon as able. Just taking a look at our penalty tracker here. Nobody in real penalty trouble. We have one on the Tampa side with 3. One has 2 penalties, and everybody else has 1 or 0. So fairly clean so far. Not bad for such a close game. Just checking the chat here. Shug is holding it down. Absolutely. Shug doing an amazing job being a solo blocker. I feel like Tampa is giving us Tampa and Columbia giving us a nice little clinic on solo blocking here. Let's give a thank you to 888, revolutionizing roller derby safety with cutting-edge technology and unrivaled designs. Stay protected with 888. And I have been handed some information by my producer, Lupita Bonita. Columbia has now acquired 9 lead jam statuses in this game, 5 going to Tampa. And here comes Nikki Tricky Savvy to bring us the details of this official review.
Okay, so Columbia was looking to have an insubordination penalty issued on I believe that is Scrap from Tampa, skater number 51, saying that when the penalty was issued to them by the refs, they threw their hands up in exasperation and they wanted a penalty issued, but the officials discussed. No call will stand, and they will not retain their review. And we will head into this next jam with Alpha Vixen for Tampa jamming and Moody for Columbia Quad Squad.
In all fairness, it must be difficult to determine exasperation and just trying not to get another penalty and trying not to get in the way of anybody, but nonetheless, review will not be retained. Alpha Vixen, now with the star in hand, is free of the pack as Moody gets knocked to that infield by Hot Wheels.
Trying that again here. We see Moody getting through to call off the pass here right as they see Alpha Vixen coming up to try to engage the pack and get some points. No points picked up by Tampa in this game, but we are back to a 1-point game with 4 points of those picked up by Columbia in this jam. Their score now sitting at 50, but Tampa at 51 points as we have 7 minutes left in the first half. That's not many minutes.
Tampa and Columbia keeping it nice and close and almost giving us heart attacks here. But, at least we have medics, so if anybody does faint from the intensity,
that's true.
We'll have help. Painfully now taking the start for Columbia versus Slamwich.
Slamwich taking a bit of a slam to the ground here from Columbia on that outside line here. Painful Lee has not been forced out of bounds, but they have just been forced going nowhere as they come up against an immobile wall of Tampa blockers. Columbia setting up at the front, moving a little bit more, but absolutely not enough to allow Slamwich any room at all.
Yeah, Painful Lee trying to avoid those tempting lines. As juicy as they might look, they don't want that run back, so just staying in the middle and steady course as Slamwich acquires lead advantage for Tampa Tantrums.
Painfully now star in their hand. Still coming up against that Tampa wall, who has now become a little bit... I was going to talk about that, but unfortunately I've been distracted as Slamwich took a big hit out of bounds, and we're going to see Miss Shugana heading to the penalty box for Columbia for their trouble on that one, but it did recycle Slamwich back all the way into turn one, though they have now managed to escape on a scoring pass in favor of Tampa.
Yeah, Miss Shugana just getting a tiny piece of Slamwich there and forcing that little flying squirrel fall into turn number 2. But Slamwich did not seem phased. They are back up and bringing Tampa into a higher lead with another 4 on the board.
Slamwich now making contact with the pack again for that third scoring pass. Did take a bit of a tumble, but was able to stay completely in bounds, so now they're upright and re-engaging with the pack. Painful Lee also still trying to complete this initial pass here with the star in the hand, but Slamwich is who I see rushing out the outside line here. Third scoring pass completed in favor of Tampa and Slamwich. 12 points so far, looking for another scoring pass as Painful Lee still trying to make something happen here in turn 3, but it's being recycled back into that second straightaway.
You have to hand it to Painful Lee. She had been fighting around this whole track for it will be 2 full minutes, but did not give up for 1 second as the star was passed just at that last second
to Miss Shugana. Miss Shugana taking the star once again here for Columbia, but just as the jam was called off. So no points were picked up by Columbia in that jam, but 14 are picked up by Tampa. 65 is currently Tampa's score, with Columbia hanging on at 50. And I want to talk about Minuteman Press for a second. If you haven't seen the actual really cute programs here, they are the official print shop of the Texas Roller Girls. They did all the programs, they did all the flyers and the posters. So if you're here in the venue and like them, go ahead and check them out here. But in the meantime, you should like Honey Badger with the star for Tampa and Bing Bong with the star for Columbia.
Bing Bong knocking at that door, but Tantrums are quick to get to the front. That is Hot Wheels doing an amazing job keeping her teammates in play. That is number 888, Peaches and Screams, and Evil Apple, that last line of defense, but that will be Bing Bong. No, not lead jammer. That was a forearm penalty assessed, so lead still open for Honey Badger to earn.
Ooh, but the Columbia Quad Squad made them work really hard for it. Honey Badger has been out and assessed your lead jammer status, but she had to work very hard to get through Columbia, who did not want to give her that room here. Now Honey Badger in and scoring. Columbia set up in a tripod at the front. Tampa trying to hold on to one of theirs as a goat, but that didn't exactly work in their favor here. Valentina Masker was able to wiggle free, and they all yelled at their jammer to call it for 4 points for Tampa, icing our friend from Columbia in that S1 penalty box for a power start.
Tampa Tantrums getting themselves a nice score there.
How many points is it?
69. 250.
Nice. Not as nice. It could be nice.
Columbia could get a nice score, too.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Phoenix now with the star. Our lone jammer on the track. Splits the difference up the middle between those blockers. Wasting no time getting lead for Tampa.
Our friend who likes to play is standing up in the penalty box, star in hand here as the as the penalty winds down here. But Phoenix has made it back into the pack to try to pick up some points here. Forced out to the outside by the Columbia pivot there and going to have to take that recycle. I believe that was Crew. Now back in and engaging with the pack. Bing Bong has managed to escape on the initial pass, pop the star back on their head and is coming back around. But Phoenix from the ground calling it off to preserve their points. 3, I believe, picked up for Tampa. No, 2. Sorry. I'm losing track of which refs used their thumb for the third point. 2 picked up for Tampa, none for Columbia. So 71 points to Tampa, 50 to Columbia, 21 points differential. Why am I just saying numbers over and over again, Blade?
There are just so many numbers to say.
We're
We're in jam number 19 going into. We've got just under 2 minutes left in period 1 of game number 14.
And we have 2 minutes left on the jam clock, and we have Alpha Vixen on the line here. Ooh, doing an interesting duck and dive, but keeping the skates in bounds. Lead for Tampa, but Moody has managed to escape first. Alpha Vixen seeing that that's absolutely going to turn into nonsense and calling it off. No points for anybody.
I think they were taking advice from the dodgeball movie there. Duck, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge.
Okay, fun fact, I've never seen that movie.
Oh my goodness, you need to watch it. It is a little dated, but
whatever. We could make a game out of funny. We could make a game out of pop culture movies that I have personally not seen. It's kind of embarrassing, honestly.
Oh my.
We could try this later on, but right now Slamwich with the star for Tampa and Bing Bong with the star for Columbia.
Bing Bong trapped at the back of the pack. Slamwich working furiously. They're right to the front, but Columbia seeming to move seamlessly in front. Some beautiful track awareness there, and it'll be Bing Bong around that outside lane, securing lead for Columbia.
In addition to playing a lead jammer, I hear that Bing Bong plays a mean nose solo, but I'll have to ask her to do that a little bit later because she's about to make contact with the pack and is trying to pick up some points. Whoa! Skating through on 1 foot in a very beautiful pose, calling off the jam with 4 points in favor of Columbia. That is their first lead jammer in the last 5 jams. Well done there to our friend who likes to play Bing Bong to bring the score up to 54 for Columbia and 71 for 20.
Looks like we will have time for possibly one more jam.
71 for Tampa, not 20.
We will.
I think so,
yes.
Yeah. Yep.
5 seconds rolling down.
There we go.
Looks like Painful Lead taking their chance with the star once again. They're against Sriracha. Sriracha dancing up that outside line, but the toe stop went out just enough to make them reconsider and recycle to play it safe.
Excellent work. Excellent track awareness there to know where she was here, but Sriracha did find that outside line open and sprinted through to pick up lead in favor of Tampa here. Painful Lee still trying to complete the initial pass, has taken the star off just in case and is handed over to the pivot. Crew, now your jammer of record for Columbia. Sriracha finding the outside line again, and this time to pick up 4 points for Tampa.
Crew still fighting furiously through this pack, getting some assistance from number 667, Billy Goat.
Billy Goat not able to spring them just yet, but finally able to get Crew out, star on head here as Sriracha slipped on through to pick up another 4 points, checked the bench and decided to call it for 8 points total in this jam. Tampa now sitting at 79.
Columbia at 54. That will bring us to halftime. So go get yourselves a drink of water and, get yourselves ready for a fun second half because I think it's going to be good.
And we'll see you then.
Thank you all for coming. If you are not from Austin's metro area, like 3 of the cities in this tournament so far.
Stelly! Beats down! Yeah, our channel would have told us. It's dead. No, we're not live. Yeah, but... That's why I was saying, like, we didn't do anything. We just
It's a.
No, that's a replay. But is that art? Like, who's account? Something happened. I don't know what the thing is. But yeah, I was bringing up the chat again. It said the stream ended.
Maybe because they're on a break?
No, but we don't push during breaks. Well, we don't push the stars. That's the recording. Is there internet cut out or something? They assume we're just still at. Well, they can't comment on the chat anymore once the stream is done. Once the stream ends, they can't make any comments.
That's the penalty information. I don't have any points information for you. I'll try. I can try and get some.
It's not bad. Considering how close it is.
Shed's talking to a microphone anyway, just in case. Shed's talking to a microphone. Aww. Wah, wah.
Okay, we are ready to derby, y'all. Tampa Derby. Starting out the second half with 79 points. Columbia QuadSquad with 54 points. Only 24 points between these two teams, so anything can happen, of course. Bing Long, your first jammer for Columbia. Slamming for Tampa. I'm going to get the closest tones of Johnny Pepper here.
We are just choppy. Okay, we're here, but we're choppy.
Picking up for calling it off.
We're live now.
All right,
Sorry.
sorry about that. We had a couple technical difficulties, but it looks like we are sorting through them thanks to the Haley
Indomitable
Stelly for
Fitbit.
technical assistance.
Yes, thank you, because we have no idea how it went down, which means we have no idea how to fix it.
Yeah, as announcers, when we panic, we're just good at yelling, "Fix it, just somebody fix it."
Exactly. But I think we did miss a 4-point jam for Tampa here, so their score is sitting at 83 points now heading into Jam 2. Moody's at 44 and jamming for Columbia. Phoenix with the star for Tampa here. Columbia's group at the front trying to hang on to Phoenix and doing a pretty good job so far.
Tampa just working furiously at the back. A flurry of pink skirts and black jerseys in front of Moody. Moody, though, finding some room to work with, and they
Ooh.
twirl on that apex, establishes lead jam for Columbia.
Just kind of skipping over somebody else's feet there and doing a spin. Moody with lead for Columbia is coming around ready to engage with the pack and get some points. Meanwhile, Phoenix has a star in their hand, but Pivot up at the front is a little preoccupied here, doing their best to hang on to Moody, who is on this scoring pass here. A few blockers left to beat at the front, but taking a spill down. They have finally managed to escape here for 4 points in favor of Columbia. Meanwhile, Phoenix still has star in hand, is looking to hand off, and has finally handed off to Evil Apple, our captain.
Yes, Phoenix not quite able to rise from the ashes with that initial pass, so Evil Apple stepping up. Unfortunately, will not get the opportunity to score. Columbia bringing their score up by 7 to 61.
That was a good play for Tampa, though, because calling that whistle for stopping.
Pretty clean penalty grade so far here. Thank you so much here. Neither team really in any jeopardy at all, which is a good place to be here for a game this competitive here. We've got a couple people who have, 3 penalties, but that's not a big deal. Meanwhile, we do have Alpha Vixen jamming for Tampa, Bing Bong jamming for Columbia, but Bing Bong, not able to get lead, has removed the star. It's Alpha Vixen with lead for Tampa.
That was Hot Wheels with the knockout on Bing Bong there along that straightaway. Meanwhile, Alpha Vixen back into the fray, collecting points one by one, but Columbia recycling up front almost effortlessly. Nevertheless, 4 on the board for Tampa.
There has been a star pass on the side of Columbia, too. I believe that is Moody. No, it is not. That is Crew. Crew with a copyright mark next to it has been forced out of bounds on that inside line, but is back in now. Your jammer of... No, it is not your jammer of record. It looks like that was not a complete star pass, so we still have Bing Bong with a star. Crew is just giving us the slip there for a second here, but now I do see a little of activity here, and Bing Bong has managed to escape at the head of the pack for the initial pass, but on a third scoring pass, Alpha Vixen is getting the call from her bench to call it off, and she does so. No points picked up for Columbia in this jam, but I believe 11 picked up for Tampa in this one, bringing them just 6 points away from the century mark with 94 points, and Columbia hanging on at 61.
Our S1 penalty box currently sitting vacant. S1 is the proud helmet sponsor of the Texas Roller Girls and travel teams. Find out more about the S1 Lifer helmet at www.s1helmets.com.
They also make a really good sticker display if you have more than one sticker to display at your table upstairs. But Sriracha picking up a cut track penalty instead of the lead she was hoping for and heading to that S1 penalty box. Meanwhile, Moody was able to come around the inside line and pick up lead jammer status in favor of Columbia.
Columbia setting themselves up to provide some assistance, but Tampa Tantrums are quick to reform in front. That looks like Evil Apple and number 50, Rojo Grande there, the last lines of defense against Moody.
Moody has managed to escape on that scoring pass with 4 points in the pocket, now coming around with speed for some more. Columbia coming up and rushing some offense here for Moody as they make their approach to the pack. But we do see Sriracha standing in that penalty box, and they have been released to rejoin the track. Moody trying to get her points here, but Tampa deciding that they don't want her to have any, as Moody is being held up by all 4 of the Tampa Tantrums, and even with some offensive assistance from her pivot, was unable to make it through until just now with another 4 points in favor of Columbia. Sriracha still trying to make the initial pass here, but Columbia congregating on the outside line just before turn 3 to hang on.
It looks like Rojo Grande was hoping to pull the cut track penalty on the Columbia jammer. However, refs saw otherwise, so Moody was allowed to be free of the pack. Hey, Columbia's got themselves a nice score now. Oh, they did, but it went right from nice to 72 here as Tampa hangs out at 94 points.
I think that's the biggest jam, one of the biggest jams that Columbia has had in this game. This has been a game of low-ish scoring jams. Not seeing as many of those like 2, 3, 4 pass scoring jams as we have in some of these games here, and still a comparatively low score.
We've got Honey Badger donning the star for Tampa Tantrums, trying to hug that outside line. Not if number 667 Billy Goat has something to say about it.
Billy Goat having a great game here, but as soon as I say that, a penalty whistle is being blown. Painful Lee still trying to fight their way through, but Honey Badger is able to tiptoe through that inside line and pick up lead jammer for Tantrums Tampa. I said it backwards, but it's fine. Ooh, massive shove out there on Painful Lee by one of our blockers for the Tampa Tantrums. I'll try to catch the name when they come by me again. Meanwhile, Honey Badger is in and scoring, but Columbia is taking the definition of scoring quite generously.
Pivot from Tampa moving in. That is Red Stiletto with the assist for Honey Badger to get through and secure all 4 points. Meanwhile, our star has been passed by Painful Lee, I believe, and our new jammer of record will be Crew for Columbia as Honey Badger makes an effortless pass on that inside, fills up that 100-point bucket.
Another couple penalty whistles being blown here. We're going to see a second blocker from Tampa reporting to that S1 penalty box as Honey Badger comes in to score. Crew now escaping the pack and putting the star on. Honey Badger deciding not to call it after checking with the bench here, going to continue scoring. But Crew has also managed to escape with 4 points here for Columbia. 12 points so far scored by Honey Badger in this jam, 4 by Crew.
Yep, as much as we love to prevent the other team from scoring, sometimes it is better to hold off and release your teammates from the penalty box. And Correct. It looks like that's what Honey Badger is doing as The last Tampa blocker serving their remaining seconds.
Honey Badger and Crew now both trying to fight through this pack here, but as soon as we saw the return of Wasselq,
Yes, that was WFTDA.
Wasselq was able to make it back to the track. Honey Badger went, we're done.
Nope, some good strategy there. Especially in this game, you definitely need all 4 blockers on the track.
You definitely do.
I mean, you need them all the time, but this time seems a bit more intense, closer, important, I don't know. But we have ourselves a team timeout brought to you by, looks like, Columbia QuadSquad, sorry.
Close enough, and that's time for us to tell you a bit about Frogmouth, which is a skater, woman, and worker-owned small business that's based out of here in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is also where we are hosting our champs right now. Our regionals, excuse me. Words are very, very, very difficult. But they have specialized in creating handcrafted uniforms and practice wear for roller derby skaters since their inception. So if you need uniforms for your team and you want to go with the best, go with Frogmouth.
Yes, if you've been tuning in this weekend, you've probably seen a jersey whip or two from jammers off of these Frogmouth jerseys and helping them get through along those straightaways. So testament to Frogmouth and durability of their equipment. That rolling whistle usually means derby is imminent, and I see Bing Bong with the star.
That's conceptually what it means, and I'm hoping that's what it means this time, as you said.
I mean, usually. We've been known to be wrong before. Not
It's
often,
true.
but
I once thought we were coming back, and then somebody else called an official review. This is many, many, many moons ago, but it was like official review, then official review. It's like, well, that was frustrating.
And to be fair, I think it does confuse the skaters too sometimes.
It does.
Everybody's all ready to go, but here we are, Slamwich donning the star for Tampa. Quick to get to the top of that pack. Rojo Grande there, trying to split up these Columbia blockers just enough, but has to relent to keep her teammates in play.
Rojo Grande now back in and trying to provide offense for Slamwich, who tiptoe skates around the outside by also adding in a little turn just for some flair. Lead jammer status assessed to Tampa here. We see Bing Bong with the star in head trying to complete that initial pass. And we have seen it was an incomplete star pass here because Bing Bong picked up a penalty and is going to the box as the jammer. So Slamwich was able to pick up 4 points during the confusion. Bing Bong will sit for the full 30 seconds, and their helmet cover is being very, very dutifully guarded by our pivot, who unfortunately has to divert a little bit of attention to try to hang on to Slamwich. But Slamwich said no thank you and decided to come through with a few fixings for 8 points.
It's interesting to see the different strategies with an unsuccessful star pass, because usually people just kind of throw it to the outside, but it's nice that the pivot picked it up and was ready to hand it off to Bing Bong upon their return. Unfortunately, was not able to do so. Bing Bong frozen with their remaining seconds at penalty box. Tampa picking out 12 points, bringing them up to 122-78.
Yes, and we are going to see a power start here in favor of Tampa as we have Bing Bong sitting in that S1 penalty box. Crew was very nice to go over there and hand her star back, so she does have it back on her head now as this jam commences with Phoenix taking the star for Tampa and Bing Bong standing in the penalty box.
Phoenix fighting furiously. 2 left to beat at the top of the pack, but they are quickly joined by the pivot from Columbia. That will be Moody, Crew, and another jammer, I can't quite tell. 93, Robin Banks.
We just lost Miss Shugana to the penalty box on a multiplayer, and Bing Bong is being recycled on that outside line. At the front, that Columbia quad trio has had to drop one to bridge, but the duo still very effective at hanging on to Phoenix. At the back, the trio of Tampa doing an equally good job of hanging on to Bing Bong. But finally, lead assessed 40 seconds in.
Yeah, pushing those Columbia blockers to their out-of-play point, forces them to relent. Phoenix now victorious, emerging from those ashes, lead advantage. And it looks like a star pass to Robin Banks. We'll see the star free for Columbia. And it doesn't appear that Phoenix is going to call this one off. Going to let Columbia put some points on the board, but not before taking a little trip to that outside bridge back courtesy of Crew.
Robin Banks now with feet back in bounds and pushing up against Columbia trying to score. Robin Banks also eligible to score and pushing up against Tampa's immobile wall of defenders up at the front of the pack, now trying to swoop to that outside line. Oh, almost had it though, but forced out of bounds and now going to be forced to recycle.
Looks like Evil Apple doing a bit of a low block maneuver there unintentionally. We see 2 blockers from Columbia and Evil Apple joining our S1 penalty box. That was an intense scenario. Unfortunately, we couldn't really see what happened because there are our lovely non-skating officials and skating officials in the middle of the fray.
Really good job there, but we see a few points going up on the board for both teams here. 8 points total for Tampa and 4 for Columbia. The score currently sits at 82 in favor of Columbia, 130 for Tampa, and we have 18 minutes left in this game and the second half.
And if you haven't had enough derby this weekend, don't worry, we still have 2 more games to bring to you. The Texecutioners will be taking on Red Stick, followed by Atlanta's Dirty South taking on, I cannot remember, New Jacks.
Alpha Vixen is going to be lead for this jam here for Tampa, and Painful Lee still trying to fight through on an initial pass. Alpha Vixen coming in on one skate through that inside line for 4 points in favor of Tampa. Painful Lee really seeing what happens when 2 of your blockers are in the penalty box here. Now the release finally happening, but Alpha Vixen also coming in and scoring. 8 points so far for Tampa in this jam.
Yeah, Painfully almost getting free of that pack, but it looked like their leg muscles said, oh, I'm not going to work the way that you would like me to. Not for this moment. While Evil Apple with the knockout and attempted bridge back doesn't seem like it worked to their benefit. Meanwhile, Alpha Vixen putting another 4 on the board, bringing Tampa's total up by 12 so far.
Painfully still now on the initial pass, looking for their pivot, I believe. Oh, took a bit of a hit, spill to the ground, and took a minute to get up, but is now back up. Alpha Vixen being forced out of bounds on the inside line, taking a couple seconds after calling it off just to stand back up again and picking up 2 more points in favor of Tampa for a total of 14 in this jam. Their score currently sits on 144 points with Columbia at 82.
That jam did clear out our S1 sponsored penalty box, so we will have full 5-on-5 roller derby action. Not before a team timeout brought to you by Columbia. So we'll give some love to our sponsors once again. How about 187 Killer Pads, industrial strength materials, unmatched ergonomic design, unparalleled excellence. Those are a lot of big words.
Big words for things that all boil down to just mean you'll be okay.
You'll be safe.
They've
got you.
Safe and sound, as they say. Excuse me.
And also thank you to ATX Women's Sports Pub. Austin's new sports pub is exclusively supporting women's sports. All fans are welcome. It's coming fall 2024, so visit them. You can't visit them in the vendor village if you're on the stream, but you should visit them at their new location in fall 2024 if you're able to make it to the Austin area.
If you are able to do so, you should definitely check out the bar. I'm excited to see what it looks like when it's open.
I hope they stream some roller derby there.
Me too.
That would be a good opportunity for championships.
It would be the greatest opportunity ever. So hopefully we're able to get that working out, because it would be awesome to be able to do the normal thing where you go out, meet in a place out in public with your friends and eat and drink.
Have a nice little watch party for
exactly.
championships. The first ones since 2019. Much anticipated.
Much anticipated indeed here. Just as we are much anticipating this jam with Bing Bong jamming for Columbia and Sriracha jamming for Tampa, but it's going to be Bing Bong coming out on top with lead, but about, I don't know, a third track of the behind is Sriracha putting on the heat, and the pack is speeding the flip up. They are trying to rush this. I can feel the wind, but I do see Bing Bong skating through on one foot, deciding to call it off here. All 4 points picked up for Columbia to bring them up to 86.
Yeah, those blockers jostling for position along that back straightaway. We saw some Columbia blockers falling to the infield, but were able to get back in time and save their points.
That was the first lead in 5 for the Columbia Quad Squad. Well done to them and to Bing Bong as we head here into Jam 10 of period 2. 15 minutes, 15 seconds on the clock. Honey Badger with the star for Tampa and Moody with the star for Columbia.
Honey Badger at the front of this pack, getting some assistance from Rojo Grande, but Rojo having to relent to keep their teammates in play. Penalty being assessed, we're not sure to whom. Honey Badger being knocked out of bounds as Moody is your lead jammer of record for Columbia.
Honey Badger now is able to get out with the star in hand, now popping it back on the helmet. Moody re-engaging with the team on the outside line and deciding to call it off after taking a pretty big hit out of bounds by Peaches and Screams. Looking for some points. 1 point there picked up by Columbia to bring their score up to 87, while Tampa still holding steady at 144 points as we have under 15 minutes now in this game.
So I have to wonder, at Columbia's home games, do they have that song from Inside Out ready for Bing Bong whenever they go take to the line? Because that would be kind of awesome.
I really hope so, and if they don't, they need to get on that immediately. Somebody in the chat, get with that.
Absolutely. At least once per half, because I think it would give Bing Bong a nice little motivation. Slamwich wasting no time, getting lead advantage. We're seeing lots of love for Slamwich in the chat as well.
Very
and a
much.
very quick star pass to Crew. We'll see the star free for
Ooh.
Columbia.
Beautiful low dip down there around the outside. Unfortunately going out of bounds just a little bit, but Slamwich was able to put some points on the board before that. They were able to put all 4 points on the board. I was worried they hadn't quite made it through that last blocker here, but Tampa now sitting at 148 points. Columbia at 87.
Yep, Slamwich again giving us a clinic on how to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. The 5 Ds of dodgeball. But we're not playing dodgeball. There is no ball. It's roller derby.
No, don't ask where the ball is. People will give you all kinds of looks. But Phoenix now is jamming for Tampa and Moody for Columbia. Columbia's defense set up at the front here with Phoenix trying to push them apart. I hear a penalty whistle being blown. I wasn't able to see what it was for or why, but I do see that Phoenix has picked up lead jammer here. Oh, that is going to be Tilly Tequila sitting in that S1 penalty box for Columbia here as Moody escapes on the initial with star in hand and Phoenix comes into the pack for points.
That was Savage Patch Kid with the first hit on jammer, but both were back up simultaneously, so no bridge back allowed there. 4 points added to Tampa's total, bringing them up to 152. They still have all 3 timeouts left and an official review, but as does Columbia have an official review, so
And a timeout.
at least 1 timeout.
Doing pretty liberally with the clock stoppages here. I've seen it before where it seems like people forget they don't reset at the half. Kind of run through all of them at once here. But speaking of running through things, I was fully expecting Alpha Vixen to come charging up the front like she's done in the past here, but taking a second here to play a little bit of mind games with Bing Bong, whose rocket makes you yell hooray.
Yeah, I believe just helping feed Bing Bong into those blockers, but Bing Bong finds room around that outside, taking off on their little magical wagon.
Ooh. Alpha Vixen took a huge hit to that outside line, but is able to stand back up and get recycled back into turn 2. But Bing Bong coming in and taking flight on that rocket with a beautiful apex jump to pick up 4 points, and they have raced back around and are now re-engaging at the back of the pack, being forced to the outside. Ooh, Alpha Vixen taking another big hit on that inside line, is going to have to recycle again.
Yeah. WFTDA with the knockout at turn number 2 and the long bridge back, but Bing Bong back into the fray.
And
with
out of
their
it.
Magical rocket. Adding 4 points to the board, starting to chip away at that point gap as our star is passed to Red Stiletto for Tampa.
Ooh, I heard Bing Bong come in and hit the ground, and unfortunately taking out another skater for a second, but it does look like everybody is okay. Wazzle Q is the one that took a little bit of a whoops, but everyone's up, everyone's good, and Columbia is hanging out at 95 points, just 5 away from the century mark, while Tampa sticks to their 152 as we have about 11 minutes left in this game.
I think I see Sriracha with the star for Tampa, and
You
they'll be
do.
squaring off against Moody. Sriracha cha-chaing up that inside line and will earn lead advantage for Tampa.
Moody and a few others hitting the ground there for a second here from Tampa, but Moody taking a second to try to run up around the Tampa defense, but instead Tampa was able to reform in front of them. They were also able to spring Sriracha by containing Colombia's formation for a second. So 4 points in favor of Sriracha so far, and now they're coming around looking for another scoring pass. They're picking up a cut track penalty after putting a foot on the infield. So Moody, initial pass complete, is now on a power jam for Colombia, and we will go the full 2 minutes of this jam.
I was snickering there because Evil Apple was moving in to block Moody, and just as she did so, Sriracha taking a little whip off of their equipment, so it looked like Evil Apple was like, why am I not moving? What's happening? Oh, okay, that's my jammer. It's okay.
Gravity stopped, but no, it was just your jammer. Just Sriracha trying to wiggle their way through.
Our pack at a standstill at the far side of the track, top of the apex, as Moody gets bumped to that infield, bridge back the long way by Evil Apple. Meanwhile, Sriracha has fresh legs off their penalty, but Colombia ready and waiting with a strong four-wall formation, or kind of looks like that Victorian O that we've seen in previous championship games.
Yeah, that rotating ring and that 2-on-2 defense, I think, is going to be what we are returning to for the next phase of competitive derby. We've seen a little bit more of it this weekend and with the other regionals in the past. But what I see right now is Moody escaping with 4 points from the pack in the favor of Colombia. They're just 1 point away from the century mark. Sriracha coming in on a third scoring pass, trying to complete it before the jam times out. But the jam comes to its natural conclusion, and Colombia did get that one more extra point, so now they sit at 100 points.
Always nice when you hit the same kind of digit mark as your opponent.
Agree.
That bucket now full for Colombia. We still have just over 8 minutes left in the second half. Hey, anything could happen if somebody gets into penalty trouble. We don't wish it upon anyone, but hey.
Every once in a while, stuff just happens.
Things happen. It's nobody's fault.
Nobody's fault at all.
Painful Lee now taking another chance with star for Colombia up against Honey Badger. Honey Badger trying to stick to that line by those toe stops, and a nice little spin around will earn lead advantage for Tampa, getting past the hips of Crew, the last line of defense. Painful Lee still bouncing around against this wall of pink and black. That looks like number 51, Scrap, giving them trouble. And Scrap reporting to our S1 penalty box for that maneuver. Painful Lee now getting back into the fray. It looks like a forearm being assessed on somebody, but
that is going to be break some bones.
Oh, Honey Badger trying to jump that apex, pausing briefly on the opposing blocker, Robin Banks. Just taking a quick little seat there.
Wow. Honey Badger coming through and just shoving Crew to the ground here on their escape for a second scoring pass here. Honey Badger with 8 points so far in the pocket, with Painful Lee still trying to complete initial pass. Thought they had a little outside line, but Colombia had to reform right in front of them to defend against Honey Badger.
Honey Badger seems to be living up to their derby name. We talked about that in the game before, how Punchbug was punching and things like that. Honey Badger living up to their name in that one. I won't say the line, but you all know what I mean. And if you don't, go check out YouTube and the Honey Badger.
Just look for the Honey Badger. Excuse me. 6.5 minutes left in this game here, with Tampa sitting at 173 points, Colombia at 101 points as we are heading into Jam 16. We have Slamwich with the star for Tampa and Bing Bong with the star for Colombia, but Slamwich coming out ahead. Toe stop work on that outside straightaway line to pick up lead jammer status in favor of Tampa, and now coming in hot looking for points as Bing Bong also tries to find the outside. Slamwich was able to land that apex jump in bounds, but did fall down for a second, but they are back up and skating for 4 points for Tampa.
Evil Apple managing to keep Bing Bong at bay just long enough for Rojo Grande to join them, keep them from that initial pass for a couple extra seconds longer. Meanwhile, Slamwich puts another 4 on the board and denies the opportunity to Colombia for points in that jam.
Getting down to the final few seconds here, we've got, I don't know, about 5 minutes and 35 seconds left on this game clock here. It is an 80-point game with 181 points for Tampa and 100 points for Columbia, but Columbia putting on an excellent effort here and doing great jobs at handling Tampa's very, very difficult to defend against jammers here, like Phoenix, who we see jamming at the front of the pack against Columbia's defense. Columbia doing a great job recycling and separating, but then coming back together as necessary while keeping a very good eye on the pack. Phoenix lead for Tampa.
Moody's still working at the back of this pack. Gets past the first two lines of defense, and it looks like has passed the star, possibly to their pivot. Still trying to figure out the happenings of the jam. Oh, a swing and a miss from Break Some Bones. Hopefully no bones broken on that one. Doesn't look like it.
Kenzie Jackson says, by the way, to that when Bing Bong plays back home, they all do say, who's your friend who likes to play? So that was a joyful fact to find out here. It's also joyful to see people getting more points, and we see 6 points going up 7 for Tampa and an OR that I need to go investigate.
An official review will be brought to us by Columbia QuadSquad. That'll give me a chance to show some love to our sponsors. How about Damsels Who Discuss? Shout out to the podcast Damsels Who Discuss for donating tournament MVP trophies. Give them a listen on your favorite podcast app and visit them in the vendor village, which you can't do if you're on the stream, unless you're streaming from inside the building, which might be slightly odd. Taking a look at penalties right now, we have Bing Bong sitting at 4 penalties, and we also have Break Some Bones sitting at 4. One player from Tampa sitting at 3, everyone else sitting at 1 or 2, and we have a fair amount of clean skaters in this game. Sorry, not clean, but no penalties. We have got 10 skaters with 0 penalties so far. That is impressive, especially in a game this contentious. Just checking the chat here for love. Honey Badger doesn't give a F. Yes, exactly. Phoenix is on fire. You are right. Phoenix has been burning up this track and rising from those ashes repeatedly, as Phoenix tend to do. Right, so it looks like the official review has been completed. Nikki Tricky Savvy will bring us those details momentarily. Skaters ready and raring to go, but officials still kind of in that spot for discussing.
Yes, the official review, by the way, was that Columbia was looking to have a back block issued on the jammer of the previous jam. That was Phoenix. But the official determined that the blocker they were asking for the penalty on had stepped in front of Phoenix as they were jamming. Therefore, they will not retain their review, and we will proceed with this game as planned.
So our S1 penalty box currently sitting empty. Alpha Vixen and Tilly Tequila, a brand new jammer for Columbia QuadSquad. Alpha Vixen getting bumped to that outside bridge the long way back by Columbia. That gives Tilly Tequila opportunity to earn lead. You see Crew getting in there, trying to split apart this wall of pink and black.
It's going to be still a very defense-heavy situation here. We've gone about 30 seconds in. No lead jammer status, and Alpha Vixen once again being recycled back. But Tilly Tequila hasn't been able to find much thorough way through either. But a fallen Tampa blocker does provide a way through for lead for Tilly Tequila. And spinning around and managing to come back inbounds to stay there. Tilly now out with a huge smile, adjusting the uniform, coming through for try to score points as Rojo Grande takes the star now on behalf of Tampa to become the jammer of record. Tilly Tequila in and scoring against Tampa.
Yep, Hot Wheels there with the knockout on the Tilly, but Tilly is back into the fray. Looks like Evil Apple there having to cease blocking and provide some assistance to maintain this pack definition, and it looks like Savage Patch Kid will follow suit. 2 left to beat at the top of the pack for Rojo Grande.
No pack being called is going to allow Rojo to get through. She's shaking it off a little bit here and snapping on that star to her head here as Tilly Tequila sees that coming, decides to call off the jam with the secure 4 points in favor of Columbia. Their score now up at 105, Tampa at 188. And someone asked in the chat what the next game is going to be. That is Red Stick taking on Texas Roller Girls coming up next after the end of this game, which only has like 2.5 minutes left.
It's been an intense day of Derby, and then after that game, we will see Dirty South taking on New Jacks. Both of those teams securing their invites to champs, so we will just be playing for rankings and seating positions.
Which we all like.
We are back to it. Sriracha versus Bing Bong. I feel like this is my favorite jammer matchup.
They're both very interesting to watch. Sriracha has excellent footwork and is very, very fast and quick. Bing Bong, very good at finding little pathways through and coming out on top, but Sriracha, the triumpher this time with with lead jammer status picked up for Tampa by tiptoeing through on those toe stops on the outside of turn 1. Just sliding through all those Columbia blockers. Ooh, big hit dodge there to pick up 4 points for Tampa.
I wanted to say earlier about Slamwich giving us a clinic on, running on those toe stops, but Sriracha following suit. So apparently all of Tampa Tantrums is giving us a beautiful display of that sidestepping line work on those toe stops. So
really good at gluing themselves in bounds.
If you're brave enough to do so, give it a try. Watch some footage and see how it's done. 7 points added to Tampa's total, bringing them up to 195, knocking at that double century mark.
We have less than 90 seconds left in this game for Tampa and Columbia here. And as we said, next, we will be seeing Texas take on Red Stick. But for now, we are seeing Honey Badger take on Moody as the jammers for Tampa and Columbia, respectively. Honey Badger at the front trying to go through Columbia's very aggressively formed tripod and floater of defenders. Now getting a little bit of help from the pivot here. That is going to be Rojo Grande.
Rojo Grande doing what they do best, either splitting apart some blockers or taking the star pass. Now having to bridge those blockers to maintain that pack definition. Honey Badger pushing with all of their might. Columbia just locking down with 3 blockers and that 1 extra just for funsies. They are so quick to reform up in front of Honey Badger. Still lead yet to be established as we count down the first minute of this jam. Just a cluster of bodies around turn number 2.
Ooh, finally getting a little bit of motion here. Moody able to wiggle through and pick up lead in favor of Columbia. 1 minute fully into this jam here. Honey Badger now a half a track behind, also having completed the initial pass.
And this will be our last jam of the game. I can't believe it. This half just flew by. And those 4 whistles mean we have our unofficial score. Tampa 195. Columbia Quad Squad 109. We will just wait for the officials to, dot the T's, cross the I's, and make everything officially official.
Exactly. Just waiting for them to roll that whistle before we let you guys go here. But as it stands right now, our Tampa's are winners of this game here. And there we go. That lovely rolling whistle here. Your official winners, Tampa Roller Derby with 195, Columbia Quad Squad with 109.
A special thank you to Lokita Bonita for providing us some fabulous statistics through this game.
Yes, thank you.
And I have been Sonia Blade, joined by
Nikki Tricky Savvy, and we hope you'll stick around for the next game.
Only 2 games left at this North America South Regionals tournament.